Welcome to the selection show. Finally, we are here. Gosh, sorry guys for the technical difficulties. A lot of moving parts put together for a six-man show. Speaking of six-man show, we got six people in the booth tonight. Wired, me, myself, Percy, Tech, Zach Assured Fame, and C Webb. Everybody, how you guys doing? Wired, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I appreciate you guys all having some patience here. I'm not sure what's going on with the picks here, but we appreciate you guys. We're having some technical difficulties, but we are stoked. We're excited. I know you put a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears away from your family to put this show together, so appreciate you. I know you were about ready to have a heart attack there a moment ago, so appreciate you for sticking with it and not having that heart attack so we can actually have one of the best selection shows we've had to date. So.
Yeah, I'm not quite out of the woods with that heart attack yet, so I might still have that. We'll probably continue to experience a little bit throughout the show with a couple of connections, but we're gonna power through it. So on the show with us tonight, we got, like I said, Percy and Tech, Shirt Frame and C Webb. We got a lot to cover. We got our selection show. If you guys haven't seen this show before, get ready. This thing is something else. So, Wired, what are you looking forward to? Last year, talk about the selection show, what we did, and what you're looking forward to this year's March Madness.
Last year was definitely, we took baby steps with the league. We had 15 teams. This season, I think coming into this season, it was a lot more challenges, more teams, more broadcasts, more things to kind of keep up with. But we've added so much to the league as a whole. Microsite with better stats, logos, guys, pictures. So we just continue to steamroll this thing. I think coming into this season, we have 20 teams making the big dance versus the last season. So I think there's a lot of good things to look forward to. Granted, this year is going to be over 3 weeks. Last year was over 2 weeks, which made it feel March Madness more March Madness-esque. But I think just the way the holidays kind of rolled out and kind of interfered with our timing, we didn't want to just postpone it and then have a huge lull with the league. So I think this gives everybody a little bit of a taste over 3 weeks, which should be fun.
I would agree. Sorry for Nightbot warning you in the chat for the caps. Nightbot is new and he's still getting his footing here. So if he times you out, that's my fault. Okay, let's jump in, guys. Let's just jump right in. So we're going to go right to our first overall number 1 seed coming in the Midwest region. That team is Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oklahoma State, the regular season winners in the Big 12, lost in the championship game to Kentucky. But they one loss on the season will get them into the final. Wired, what did you like about Oklahoma State?
I think there's no surprise. I mean, they've run the table on most of the league the entire season. Solid. I know they did lose in the Big 12 championship game, but they just were dominant the entire season. I mean, and if we're going to just even talk about that championship game for one hot second, the fact that they lost by 1 just goes to show you that they are just so talented from top to bottom that even in the game that they lose by 1 point. They were just head and shoulders above the rest of the league from their performance during the season. Not to say that they can't be beaten, because they have been, but definitely deserving of the number 1 regardless. Their body of work just from top to bottom, from beginning to the preseason to literally right up to that championship game in the Big 12. So in my mind, there was no debate on whether they were the number 1 or not.
Yeah, I agree. They were really good all season long. Like I said, the one loss was their one little bugaboo there. But other than that, they beat every team pretty handily. We're gonna find out who they're facing in the first round, and they are facing the Wisconsin Badgers. So Wisconsin gets in, Wired. Wisconsin gets in. One of the teams that we talked about maybe not getting in, they end up getting in. And why do you think they got in?
I think they came on late in the season. I think Cutlife, once he took over from Rand, he started to right the ship. Wisconsin started playing better basketball. at moments and times towards the tail end of the season really showed some flashes that they can be dangerous if they put the right strategy together. So I think they played good down the stretch. So credit to them for getting in.
Yeah, well, I mean they were one of the first 4 teams that I think we had out that I had out. Ended up getting in, ended up not hurting him that bad. But I think that they played the Big Ten pretty tough. So I think they earned themselves that spot in. So the Belly just having a very tough matchup in the first round that they got to go against Oklahoma State, but that's what happens when you barely get in the tournament. So, but we're excited.
I'd say the lower seeds definitely going to have their hands full, especially against any of these number 1 seeds. And I think for Wisconsin, listen, anything's possible. That's why we play the games. Put together the best game plan strategy you can, and hope for the best. And like you said, they played the Big 12. They played the Big 10 pretty tough all season, so maybe they can give Oklahoma State a little bit of a little bit of trouble.
Staying in the West, or staying in the South rather, the South will be played in Oklahoma City. So a close game for Oklahoma State. This number 2 seed will get the winner of the 3-4 play-in game. So we're going to look at the number 2 seed in the West right now, or in the South right now, and that is the Oregon Ducks. So Oregon wins the Pac-12 tournament championship and gets themselves into the postseason as a number 2 seed. Probably it got considered by a lot of us as the number one seed, but at the end of the day, I think that their record in their regular conference play just kind of hurt them a little bit. Wired.
Yeah, I mean they were a strong team all season long. I think there were a couple of games where they showed a little bit of a blip on the map for them, not able to find their footing, and I'm not exactly sure what those reasons were. But Pac-12 was a tough conference this season. I don't necessarily know if they stacked up as well as some of the other conferences, but Oregon was right there. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they were a top 5 team, or in the top 10 almost all season. So not surprising that them to come in where they did. I don't necessarily know if they were deserving of a 1. They were definitely close. Maybe like that 1B for me.
Yeah, we'll go to the number 3 seed in the same region in the West, sticking with the West, and we have the Duke Blue Devils. Duke, the number 3 seed in the South, to play in Oklahoma City. That's the number 3 seed. Duke got to the championship game. The ACC got dismantled, wired by Syracuse. Duke's an interesting team.
Duke is the team that's going to sit. It's really going to be contingent, in my opinion, on where they go based on Adrian King. He is the facilitator for that team, and we've seen points this season where they've been so exciting to watch, and then we've seen some dud moments for them too. So they've kind of had an up and down season compared to where they were last season, where they were a number 1 seed. This season they're coming in as a 1. So see if maybe that puts a little chip on their shoulders, and then see if they're able to do something with it.
Yeah, I think Duke is very much the Adrian King show as we've seen, but we saw some other guys step up in the later stages of the conference tournament. With Jordan Scott out there.
Jordan Scott, Oli, Clowers. I think they've got some talent on that team. It's just a question or not of can they put it together and they have the right game plan, and that's all going to help with Adrian King. So
let's see who their matchup is in the first round. In the South region, the last seed in the South region is the Michigan State Spartans. So Duke's going to play Michigan State in the first round. The winner of that game is going to go on to play Oregon in the second round. There's no slouches in the postseason, the NCAA tournament. Michigan State had a pretty underwhelming season. So, what do you like about them?
I mean, I'm a huge Michigan State fan. I think they got a huge defensive presence in the middle with Jacob McKnight. I know at the end of the season they tampered and tinkered with some things in the conference tournament, but we've seen guys like DJ Jones, we've seen guys like Cooper or Baron Thomas, McKnight. I mean, there's a lot of talent on that team. It's just whether or not they can put it together in the right game plan.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see. They're a little out of sorts with their positioning, but they've come to win some big games. But more than often, we've seen them, struggle getting going, scoring the basketball. So we'll see if they can get that going against Duke, and see if they could stop Adrian King for sure.
Sparty's got a good team. It's just a question of can they put it together.
Yeah, for sure. For our analysis on the South bracket, we're going to go to Assured Fame and C. Webb out in wherever they're at. So, Shirt Fame, C Webb, take it away, guys. Zach, what do you see in this? What do you see in this region, man?
I think it's a pretty exciting region. I mean, Duke and Michigan State for the play-in game. Those are pretty good teams. Duke obviously has the madman Adrian King. Michigan State, like you said, they got McKnight. They have the defensive pieces, I feel, to not upset Duke, but kind of give them a good game. So I'm excited to see that part. And then obviously the winner of that one faces Oregon.
Yeah, for sure. C Webb, what do you got in the South?
So I mean, my thinking is pretty similar to Zach here. I've got Oklahoma State winning, pretty much winning out for me. Michigan State's good out over Duke though, and that's going to set up Oklahoma State and Oregon is the way I kind of see this one playing out. I can see the Oklahoma State-Oregon game getting pretty interesting. I know Scooby Lewis can really match up with a lot of guys really well. Trey Upton is probably going to take over that game, though. Just in the way he plays and the way that Oregon defends, I think that he's going to be the key to that.
Yeah, for sure. Zach, who's the player to watch in this one, and who do you like to win the region?
As far, C Webb and we do have a lot in common. I have multiple players to watch for each game. Obviously, it's got to be Trey Upton against Scooby Lewis, I feel, in the finals of this tournament. We kind of saw, with Texas, they kept it close. I think they lost by 1 in overtime, and then Kentucky won by 1. So, the game plan to beat Oklahoma State's out there. It's just to see if Oregon can take that. And I feel like they have a good chance at it. They have a really deep roster.
Yeah, Oregon made a run in their conference tournament for sure. So we'll see if they can continue to do that in the region. C-Web, give me one player to watch. Did I lose C-Web? I lost C-Web. That's okay. We're gonna go back to me and Wired on the start here. C-Web, you there, bud? Okay, we'll go back to the start. We'll come back to Zach and C-Web in a little bit here. But let's go back to me and Wired here. Whoever's got the echo on, turn off your Twitch sound, please. Wired, South Region, OK State.
Yeah, the way I'm looking at this South, OK State. They're going to play Wisconsin. You got the Duke, Michigan State, the 3-4 game. They come in to take in Oregon. I do agree with the guys a little bit here on their assessment. I do see OK State and Oregon are the two teams in my mind that are going to probably advance here. Who comes out on top, I don't know. Obviously, I don't want to predict that far, but that's my gut feeling based on looking at it and seeing and calling a lot of the games this season. Duke, Michigan State could make some noise. Just a question of whether or not they do, and if they do, maybe they can take that on a run and propel themselves to go further. Oklahoma State, obviously being the number 1 seed, is going to have a little bit easier road in than some of the other number 1 seeds because they are the number 1 overall. And I know there's some, and maybe you could just touch upon this before we kind of advance because there's some comments that are going on in the stream chat about specifically to why we set it up this way. Maybe you can kind of elaborate as why last season we had 16 teams or 15 teams and someone was getting a bye. This season the 3-4 is playing each other to play the 2. So I don't know if you want to just kind of touch upon that real quick.
Yeah, so last year we had that 4-5 play-in game or we had the conference tournament game eliminating somebody. This year we seeded everybody 1 through 24. The reason we have 3-4 playing as the kind of first 4 game is that we wanted the number 1 seed to get the number 5 seed. At the end of the day, we wanted to reward the top seed with playing the number 5 seed, and the only real way to do that, in my mind, was to do it the way we did it, because the seeding would be really scrambled if we didn't do that way. 2 would be playing 3 with a chance to play whatever, you know what I mean? So it was really the only way that I could figure out how to do this the right way, so that 1 was getting, the appropriate draw rather than 1 playing like the 4 or whatever. Yeah, at the end of the day, I wanted the 1s playing the 5 seeds.
And the interesting thing, just to add to that too, the 5 seed, those are the teams that are barely getting in. So if they want to make a run and they want to do something in the tournament, this is your opportunity to do it against the number 1 seed in your bracket. So.
Yeah, for sure. So that is the South region. We'll take a look at the South region real quick. Our South region, zoom in. South's going to be played in Oklahoma City. You guys get a good look at the South region right there. It's going to be a good one. Oklahoma State, Wisconsin, Oregon, Duke, Michigan State. There's no slouches. Like I said before, there are no slouches in the postseason. With that, we're going to go to the East bracket. We're going to go to the East region. It's going to be played in New York. And if you guys can put anybody together based on that clue, we're going to go to the number 1 seed in the East, Syracuse Orange. Syracuse dominated Wire. They dominated the ACC. They dominated the regular season ACC and postseason ACC. Their lone loss coming to Gonzaga in the first game of the year. This team is actually contended with me for the number 1 overall seed. They are very, very good.
Stacked top to bottom. They've got guys that can play at the guard. They've got the forwards. They've got center. I mean, they've showed me all season long they are a contender. I agree with you. If Oklahoma State didn't dominate the way they did all season, I think there could be contention for Syracuse as being the number 1 overall.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Syracuse, maybe their loss to Gonzaga hurts them a little bit. I know it was the first game of the year. Oklahoma State dominated as well. These are the Oklahoma State and Syracuse were the 2 most efficient teams in the country as well. So Syracuse definitely is, we talk about Oklahoma State a lot, but Syracuse is one of those teams that's right there. I think they have a ton of firepower. Obviously, the Big 12 was a little tougher of a conference, top to bottom, but Syracuse is no joke. So whoever draws Syracuse in the first round is really going to have their hands full. But with that, let's find out who Syracuse is going to be playing in the first round. And they are going to be playing the Indiana Hoosiers. So the Hoosiers get in. Second Big Ten team to get in. I know Ace was sweating it in chat there, seeing if they were going to get in or not. You guys are in the dance. I got a tough road. You got to play Syracuse in the first round, but you get in. That's all you could ask for, Wide, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're going to be rallying around basketball Jesus with hopes that they can put together the effort to take down the Syracuse Orange, man. But credit to them. They played tough all season. They were in a lot of the games that they were in. I know that sometimes when you just look at wins and losses, but they were in almost all the games that they played this season. So hopefully you watch basketball Jesus doing a double reverse slam there in that highlight. But Indiana's not going to be an easy out for anybody. Syracuse, I think they can handle them, but Indiana might give them a little bit of a game. It's probably a little bit more of a tougher matchup for a 1 seed than what Oklahoma State might be getting. Yeah,
I mean, someone said in chat the first step is getting in. I agree. You get in, you had a shot. So it's going to be tough playing Syracuse, close to home in New York. So Indiana's definitely got their work cut out for them, but they are in. With that, we're going to go to the number 2 seed in the East region. And the number 2 seed is the Texas Longhorns. So another Big 12 team getting in. The Big 12 Wired, I know you played in the Big 12 with Kentucky. The Big 12 was stacked, probably 1 through 4. All 4 of those teams really could have won a conference tournament.
No offense, it's really stacked 1 through 6. I know teams 5 and 6. As we haven't gone through all the teams here, who's making, who's not. But just overall as a conference, I mean, every single game was a tough battle. So, but Texas has showed flashes, and if they can play the way they played in that semifinal game in the Big 12 conference tournament against Oklahoma State, if they can play that way, and I feel like Coach Orange has finally had figured out his team and how to utilize all their talent. They have a lot of talent on this Texas team. See what they can do. Maybe they can make some noise, maybe get themselves to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, they took Oklahoma State to overtime in that semifinal game, so very tough team. They will play the winner of the 3-4 matchup in the East, and the 3 seed in the East is not them. My fault, boys. The 3 seed in the East is UCLA Bruins. UCLA gets the number 3 seed in the East region. UCLA was a team that probably surprised a lot of people this year, Wired. We didn't talk a ton about their talent top to bottom, but They have some good talent at the end of the day. Up to no good. Walker Lobo, Tony Velez looks to be much improved going into the postseason. Jerome Raines.
I agree as well. UCLA is I think is going to be a sleeper team for this tournament. They didn't get a lot of the hoopla, and I think part of that is maybe just because they weren't in primetime as much. I don't know, but I think they got forgotten a lot about over the course of the season. But come tournament time, they were primed and ready to go, and I see them as a team that's going to be a tough out for anybody. So and then they've kind of, as the season has gone on, they've gotten better and better and better. So I see them as being a really tough matchup.
Yeah, UCLA is a very good basketball team, coming in number 3 seed in the East, and they will play in the East the number 4 seed in the East, Florida State Seminoles. So UCLA draws Florida State in the first round. That should be a hell of a matchup, Wired. Florida State's been a team that's improved every single week that we've watched them. They lost in that first round game to Louisville. It's hurt their seeding a little bit, but they're a good basketball team.
Yeah, for sure. And they are another team, and just as we talked about UCLA, as the season has gone on, credit to Short Fame and everything he's done with Florida State to propel them forward after having a little bit of a slow start with the coach leaving and so on and so forth. They're a team they're a team I would worry about too. And UCLA is not, I believe you said that's who UCLA is taking on here. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
yep.
That's going to be a great matchup. That's if you look at true traditional matchups in the real NCAA. This is a perfect indication of like an 8-9 matchup in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's going to be that tight. So this should be a good one.
Should be a really good game. That is the East Region. We'll do a little East Region zoom real quick for you guys here up in New York. You guys can see the bracket right before we head over to our other analysts for the East Region, which is Percy Cooper and Lover of Tech. We'll head over to them in just a second here. That is the East Region look. Let's head over now to Percy and Tech. Tech,
hey, what's
Tech,
up,
what
guys?
you got, man? Tech, what do you like about the East Tech? Give me your analysis on the East bracket.
Yeah, I love the East because there's 3 teams that I feel that can really take it. I mean, Syracuse obviously has been dominating all season. They're the favorites in my eyes, but I think Texas or UCLA could possibly come out of this if they have really good games. I know you asked for a player to watch, and I'm going to say player to watch for me is going to be Syracuse's Frankie J. He's their leading scorer right now, averaging 14. And I think he's going to have some big games to keep their hopes alive.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Syracuse a lot with Gino, and DJ Jackson's played really good lately. Jonathan Snyder's played great. Frankie J's had a couple games where he's broke out 20-plus points. Right. He's a guy that can really, really give you a big lift. And when they take away guys like Gino and they take away guys like DJ, Frankie J's usually a guy that steps up.
Yeah, I agree. Frankie J is a deadly guy. And just one of their players. They have 3-4 more that can go the distance as well.
Yeah, for sure. Percy, tell me what you like about the East, man. Who you like coming out? Give me your analysis.
Man, I really like Syracuse, of course. But let's say they don't win. I really like to piggyback what Wire was saying about UCLA. I think they're a team that's been slept on all season. And I think if a couple of those players get it going, that they could make a run. And I also agree with my brother about Texas. Texas has been a really, really good team all season. And I really think that if they get it going too, Zeke Ali and Sedakis and some of those other guys, Mason, I think they can also come out on top. So I think this is going to be a really, really fun region to watch.
Yeah, give me a player to watch in this region, someone you think is going to make a difference and why their team wins the region.
I'm going to say Upton O'Good, man. If he gets it going for UCLA, there's no ceiling for them. They can go really far in the tournament.
Yeah, I agree. Tech, it's important. Now we're in the postseason. Non-conference play, guys are kind of figuring it out. Now we might see a Syracuse mixed with the Texas in the semifinal here, right. In the Elite Eight. Texas is a team that can beat a Syracuse team that hasn't lost since week 1.
Yeah. I mean, Texas, you got to think Texas was right there beating Oklahoma State in the semifinals for the conference tournament. I mean, if they wouldn't have won that game, they could have been playing for the championship. I mean, Texas is right there. They've been a top 5 team for majority of the season. I mean, anything's possible for them. I think when they're hitting shots and Sedakis is getting those rebounds, they're hard to stop.
I agree. That's the East Region coverage. We're going to come back to these two guys when we cover the Midwest, but we're going to head back to HQ here with me and Wired. Wired, as we take one more look at the East Region as I zoom in on this, I love Syracuse. I think they're a really terrific basketball team. Texas would worry me. And I mean, UCLA could be a team that makes a deep run too.
I gotta be honest with you, the 2, 3, and 4 seeds would scare the bejesus out of anybody. Mm-hmm. So those are not easy matchups for anybody. UCLA, I think there's some guys there that like I said, they've been kind of slowly perpetuating up as the season has gone on. FSU, same thing, and then Texas. One thing about Texas that I will say, and even though keep talking about that Oklahoma State game, Horns has had his difficulties with his team figuring out how to utilize each
Baker
member
Mason,
whether it be Baker Mason, who is a talent in himself. Zeke Ali, some games running the point, some games playing the 2. Tyler Johnson going to the number 1. I mean, there's been so many different lineup changes in that team, and I don't necessarily know. And I'm hoping, for Horns' sake, that he figured that out, because with the game that they played against Oklahoma State was by far their best of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout the lineup, they were getting contributions. So if they can get that kind of game throughout this entire postseason, look out for Texas. That's my one team that I don't necessarily wouldn't want to play, because if he has figured it out, they have all the pieces.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take away from Syracuse. Syracuse has had an amazing season. ACC was a little bit weaker than some of the other conferences, but the numbers that they put up all season, it's just so hard to ignore that. And then FSU and UCLA, like I said, those guys are on their way up. They're rising. So whether they do it this season or next, I don't know. But see what they can do and see if they can make some noise.
For sure, Zach is in with our group. So keep sleeping on FSU. We'll see if they can. The Seminoles can come out in the first round and upset. I'll give the loose air quotes to UCLA. It's going to be a fantastic game. These 4-3 matchups are going to be like your 8-9 matchups, and like you said in the brackets, these are going to be really fun to watch. So that is your South and East region. Now we're going to head to the West region, and the West region is going to be played in Portland, Oregon. And the number 1 seed in the West is Kansas Jayhawks. So Kansas comes in 1 loss on the season until the conference tournament got upset by Kentucky, which is not really an upset. Kentucky's a fantastic team. That game was a really good game as well. So Kansas, playing in the Big 12 wire, playing against the competition they played against all season, was just enough for the committee, I think, to vote them in as the 4th number 1 seed.
Yeah, they're well deserving. They've played solid throughout the season, and they've just gotten even better as the season is going on. Char Duncan has been a beast. Tez Green has been phenomenal for them at the point. Now and I noticed something too as the season went on. They started running a very similar style play as Kentucky, starting 2 centers. Rob Davis is an amazing 3-point shooter, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure Assured Fame Zach can attest to this because he's the stat savant with on our broadcast. But I'm sure he can tell you that Rob Davis, and I know he did towards the latter part of the season, was one of the league leaders in 3-point field goal percentages. So they got guys that can hurt you from all over.
Yeah, Rob Davis was a freshman all conference as well. So Char Duncan, a guy that many feel got snubbed in the All-Star game, I would agree with that. There were so many good All-Star guys, but Char Duncan is a guy that's been on a mission the entire season.
He's had a chip on his shoulder since he got not selected for the All-Star game.
He has, for sure. And Tez Green is a phenomenal point guard. Michael Scarn's come in. You say that they run that same.
Scarn, thank you. That's the name I was looking for before.
You say they run that too big look. It is a too big look. Scarn's a shooter though. Scarn could step out and shoot the ball from 3. So while they do run too bigs, they could do a little more. I think they could be a little more creative offensively. But a very tough team to stop. Very tough team to match up with. Even for you guys, now you got your post center guarding a guy that could shoot the ball from 3 and stuff. It's tough to guard that.
Yeah, listen, you set your style of your team on how you want to play. Kentucky went about theirs by putting two bigs at the 5 and the 4. Kansas did the same, but they have a different style center. So if you have an inside-outside center, he's going to play more outside. He's going to draw that power forward center out. So leaving them exposed inside. So there's a lot of little things we saw Oklahoma State do it early on in the season when they put Trey Upton at the 4. So every team that is built through the CSBA, each coach has their vision and the style of team that they want to put together. Kansas has made themselves unique in their own right, so kudos to them, and they've got themselves a very well-deserved number 1.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you draw a big out like that, you throw it down to a guy like Char Duncan, now you have no help in the post, and it's tough. So Kansas is going to be a very tough team. Congratulations on the number 1 seed for them. Let's see who they're going to play in the first round. This is going to be my favorite first-round matchup for a number of reasons, and they are playing the North Carolina Tar Heels. So we get the brothers matchup in the first round. We get Tech and Percy playing each other in the first round. The Tar Heels gotta travel. Both teams gotta travel. You know, when you're the fourth number 1, you got to go to that open region wired. So both teams gonna travel to the West. North Carolina played better in the conference tournament. They got a shot against Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, I think no offense, and we were joking around before the game, before the broadcast. I was just kind of giving Percy and Tech a little bit of the business before the game, but this is going to be a brothers matchup for sure. Just as the coaches of these teams, but I said to Percy before the game started, I said, if you could figure out how to get Zachary Orion back on to the way he was playing in season 1, you will give Kansas fits. Because if you remember back to season 1, Orion was, I think he might have been the leading scorer in the nation. And I think he's had a little bit of that sophomore jinx this season, and I don't know if necessarily Percy has figured out how to utilize him as well as Percy Cooper in the paint and try to get those two, because by far those are, in my opinion, that's North Carolina's best 2 players on the team.
Well, you're right. When North Carolina's clicking, they're really, really good. It's just a matter of, if they can get clicking. So I have no doubt that Percy's probably going to game plan harder than he's ever game planned against his brother. So
yeah.
I just want to know if they're going to bet on this game, because I want to know if there's going to
we do not endorse betting in the CSBA.
Maybe some packs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna be a really fun game to watch, just for the the drama of the brother matchup. So we'll see what happens there. That's the number 1 number versus number 5 in the West. Let's go to the number 2 seed in the West. We'll play the winner of the 3 and 4 seed, and the number 2 seed in the West is the Kentucky Wildcats. So Kentucky, a lot of people thought they should have got a 1, a bit on the border. They won the conference tournament, which really improved their stock. At the end of the day, I think it was just so close with Kansas. Kansas got the edge just a little bit. We have 8 people in the selection committee, and they all value, they all weigh things differently. So it was very close at the end of the day. Kansas got the edge, but Kentucky gets to go to that same region with maybe a little revenge on their mind in the Elite 8.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for Kentucky, you've beaten Kansas, you've beaten Oklahoma State, so they are probably the 2, in my opinion, the 2 toughest teams. So you've come away with W's. Granted, they didn't get the number 1 seed, but there's a lot of talent on this team. Certainly something that could allow them to make a deep run into the postseason. And who knows, if they're able to get there, I'm looking forward to seeing a Kansas-Kentucky matchup in an Elite 8 game. I think the league would love to see that. I mean, obviously, nothing's guaranteed. You got to get through. You got to get there first. But it could potentially set up for a nice Elite 8 game later on.
Yeah, I love that the committee said, Kansas had the edge as the number 1 seed, but we're going to throw Kentucky in that region as well. Let them battle it out. If they both reach the Elite 8, let them battle it out. So I love that. Like I said, Kentucky number 2 seed playing the winner of the 3 and 4 seed. The number 3 seed now in the West is the Ohio State Buckeyes. So the Buckeyes got to the Big Ten championship game wired, lost to Michigan pretty handedly, but Buckeyes might be one of the more underrated teams that we see in the CSBA. Guys like Pinesaw and Sean Moore as of late have been really, really good.
Yeah, they've really impressed me as this season has gone on, and I think a credit to the coach. Ohio State, I almost said Oklahoma State. I'm sorry, so many OSUs in this league. But no, they've really come on. The Brewers, they've impressed me. Pinesaw has really been impressive, even going back to his days at Louisville. Just showing more, like you mentioned before, Moore is a guy that people are going to need to look out for him. He is just continuing to grow game by game, showing what he really can do on the court. And OSU has really, really impressed me this season. And they remind me a lot of FSU in a lot of ways. Built very similarly, very similar style play. Very edgy team that has some scores and some potential threats on their team to make some noise. So Ohio State is definitely trending up, and maybe that's the best time for that to happen is coming into conference form, to March Madness rather.
Yeah, Coach Jacoby Tenkiller's got them rolling over there at Ohio State. So don't sleep on the Buckeyes for sure. They come in as the number 3 seed in the West, and they'll play the number 4 seed in the West, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. So Coach Ted Stern and the Gonzaga Bulldogs coming to the postseason out of the Pac-12 conference. Gonzaga is a team that makes us scratch our head sometimes, but when they're good, they're another team. And when they're good, they're really good. As you see, they're a very, very defensive team. If they can get that scoring up, they're going to be a tough team. They're going to be a tough team for Ohio State to play in the first round.
Yeah, they've impressed me a lot. I think guys like Kickler, Stern, Soluzi. I mean, Soluzi played one of his best games in the postseason tournament. It's just a question of can they be consistent? I've seen them shoot lights out. Jacob Brewer's, sorry, not Brewer.
Goldsberry.
No, not Goldsberry. The other guy, the other guard. I can't think of his name.
Jonathan Green.
Jonathan Green. Thank you. Green has shown flashes of brilliance. They have a lot of talent on that team. It's just a question of can they put it together? Can they figure out how to get their team playing together? We've seen it at times, and then we've seen times where Coach Stern is scratching his head going, I don't understand what happened here. But they have talent on that team. The question is, can they put it together at the right time? And now it's now or never.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. It's something I've dealt with at Michigan State a lot. It's what team's going to show up for Gonzaga. If we get Gonzaga at their best, you expect them to win a game. If we don't, then it might be a long night for the Bulldogs. But they could definitely do it. Like I said, there's no slouches in March Madness, so we're definitely going to see some upsets. I'm convinced of that. But let's go ahead and zoom into the West bracket real quick. You guys take a look. Kansas, North Carolina, Kentucky, Ohio State, and Gonzaga played in Portland, Oregon. We're going to head back to our guest analysts for the West region, Zach and C. Webb. I'll head over to you guys in just a second here. Zach, tell me what you like about the West, man. Tell me who you see coming out of the West. Give me your analysis.
Yeah, I mean, the entire bracket is really well put together. I like the matchups we have, and I'm really interested to see that Ohio State Gonzaga game. But the one thing to look out for is I was analyzing Kansas. Both losses they have, Tez Green only shot 12 times and made 5 shots. So one thing they need to look out for, I think, for Kansas, I do think they're going to take this bracket. I know it's super early, shout out to everybody making it in, UNC. It's going to be fun watching the brothers play, but what's going to happen if Tez Green doesn't have a great game? I mean, something to look for. Char Duncan seems to be that guy, but, there's Brock Lee out there. There's a couple of things to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Lee's a guy that we don't say his name a ton, but he's a guy that could be like one of those unheralded guys that, comes in and fills in really nicely for the Jayhawks. They could just beat you in so many ways. Skarn can shoot the 3 really well, so if they get hot from 3, it's going to be a long night for a lot of teams, Zach. I mean, Kentucky's in this region as well. Ohio State's the number 2 team from the Big Ten, so people are probably going to call this maybe the bracket of death, if you will. I might agree with it.
Yeah, I think C-Web, I don't know if he's in here, but I'll go ahead and take it.
Keep going.
I would agree with you, man. Any one of these teams can take it. I think, again, Kansas and Kentucky, they earned that 1-2 seed here. But, I mean, Gonzaga, dude, they've got Goldsberry, Kickler, Jojo Soluzi. I mean, they've got such a deep roster. And, like I think Wired was saying, they've had such up and down seasons. Can they put it all together? And then, I mean, Ohio State, they're a sleeper team. I mean, a player to watch in this bracket to me is Sean Moore. I've only played 5 games with them, but he's almost their leading scorer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be a fun bracket to watch.
Yeah, Moore was a late addition in the league, and he's been every bit as good as advertised coming into the league. So Moore is going to be a guy to watch out for. C-Web's back with us. C-Web, give me your analysis on the West, man.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting bracket to watch, like Zach was saying. I really think Kansas and Kentucky are going to be the hardest teams to beat there for sure. But I really like Actually, I really like Gonzaga. I know that they've been inconsistent during the season, but if Sawyer Stern gets going, I think he honestly could put up 30 points in a game and really give some teams a lot of trouble that way.
Yeah, we've seen Stern put up some pretty big games. He's like what you call a streaky shooter. So if he gets going, watch out, right, C-Web?
Yeah, exactly. We've already had to play them twice, and my guy Snyder went up against him both times, and it was a pretty good show both times. The second time he got the better of me, but first time we both put up over 20 points, and that was in preseason games, so that we didn't even have our stuff figured out at that point.
Yeah, for sure. That's the West, guys. We're gonna come back to these two guys after we cover the Midwest. After Percy and Tech cover the Midwest, but we're gonna head back to HQ real quick. Wired, we'll take one more look at the West region. You're playing in the West. I would call this is a tough bracket. I'm not gonna lie. So getting out of the West is gonna be a dogfight.
I love that you call this the bracket of death because that's what it feels like to me looking at it. I know when the committee and everybody got together to look at this. The matchups here, they're tough across the board because, like I said earlier, with the brothers playing each other, North Carolina playing Kansas. The interesting thing about what I like about March Madness is most of these teams have played their division and their division only, with the exception of a little bit in the preseason. But the preseason was so different, as C Webb just pointed out, that guys didn't necessarily have things figured out. We had the ace on, which we don't have anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that have changed. That's why you're seeing some games that are huge blowouts and some games that are much closer, or just totally different styles than what we saw earlier on. Now that the training wheels are off, as I like to say. But this is going to be a tough division. I could see Gonzaga being a team that surprises some people in this region. I know C Webb talked about Sawyer Stern. There's some guys on that Gonzaga team that really impressed me. I think they're a little bit deeper than Ohio State, personally. I think they have a few more weapons, and I think if they can get Jonathan Green and they can get Soluzi going, they can get Stern firing on all pistons. Gonzaga's going to be a tough out for anybody. I mean, that's just one team right there that is kind of my sleeper pick. If I had to throw out somebody. In this region, I think they're the guys. They're the team that's going to surprise some people that I think they're going to basically shock. Yeah,
I think Gonzaga's definitely a team that can shock somebody. We got to remember the Pac-12 was very competitive, so at Gonzaga's, where they ended up in the Pac-12 was definitely nothing to hang their head about. They're a good basketball team. The Pac-12 is a difficult decisions or a difficult conference, so. We're going to see about that region for sure, but we're going to head over to our last region. We got 5 teams left to get in. We're going to head over to the Midwest region. Is going to be played in Detroit, Michigan, and the number 1 seed in the Midwest is the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan won the Big Ten tournament. They won the Big Ten regular season. Really wasn't close for a lot of those games. Wired, Michigan's a team that can make a deep run.
They are so stacked. They are a team to me that I agree they are going to make a deep run. There's just so much. Even some of their green chip players, the way they chipped in this season. Morgan Freeman coming in. The evolution of Macy Pretzel during the season has just continued to get better. Willis McGee is a stud. The guy is just starting to impress me more and more in game each time, and I think he's one of the, if I'm not mistaken, he is a 3-and-D, I think, or defensive shooting guard. I forget what he is.
He's a multi-positional, yeah.
Is he a multi-positional defender? And he's a guy that we don't have a lot of his arc, and he's just impressed me. And then you got Shane Page leading the Wolverines, and being dominant as he is. This team is stacked from top to bottom. Their bench is solid, and they've shown and that they. And we know we talked about Syracuse, we talked about Kansas, about these teams being teams that could have been there for the number 1 overall. I think Michigan probably could. You probably could make an argument for the same for them.
Yeah, I agree. So Michigan gets the number 1 seed in Detroit. They're going to be playing close to home. They're going to be playing against the number 5 seed, USC Trojans. So the Trojans go from Southern California over to Detroit, Michigan, and play against the Michigan Wolverines. It's going to be a really tough matchup for USC. But we've seen USC play extremely well, including their 37-point win over Oregon.
Yeah, they've surprised me. I mean, I feel like they have a lot of talent on their team. I think similar to how we were talking about Gonzaga, about them figuring it out. We've seen at times flashes of brilliance and Surf Booth and Buckets and a few of the other guys. Cash Packs really coming on. Excuse not Cash Packs. Excuse me. Why am I drawing a blank on his name all of a sudden now? Their point guard. Oh my God, I'm totally drawing a blank. But Leak McGee, another guy. I mean, Stan Strong, rather, another guy that can shoot the lights out. So it's just a question of USC putting it together at the right time. Apologies for the few scripts on the names.
You're talking about Neil Mason, the point guard there.
Yeah, Neil Mason. Thank you, Neil Mason. It's drawing a blank. We saw Neil Mason. Last year at Maryland. Was he at Maryland? I'm drawing a blank.
He was an all-star too this year. So
yeah. So I mean, he's a guy that can certainly help them. I'm sorry, there's just so many teams, so many names. I get a little confused from time to time. Plus, my son just walked down as we were doing this broadcast, so apologies. But yeah, USC. I mean, the one game that I really tuned in on was towards the latter part of the season, and you saw guys like Surf Booth and Buckets and those guys kind of really step up and make it difficult. And like you said, they had that one big win against Oregon. They're a team that could potentially give Michigan a little bit of trouble. They're certainly built differently than what Michigan has played all season. If I'm not mistaken, USC runs two bigs as well, similar style to Kentucky and Kansas. So I'm curious to see how Michigan can play against them. I mean, they don't have the size that USC has, but I feel like Michigan has more athletes. So it'll be an interesting 1-5 game there.
Yeah, we'll see Macy Pretzel and that matchup down low with the USC bigs as they rotate in will be the determinant there. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup, USC and Michigan. Definitely looking forward to that one. We're going to go to the number 2 seed, who's going to play the winner of the 3 and 4 seed. The number 2 seed now in the Midwest region is the Oregon State Beavers. So Oregon State won the regular season Pac-12 wired, lost in the conference tournament to Oregon, the conference tournament final. Oregon State is a very, very talented basketball team. The 4th best efficient team in the country, according to my stats. A lot of people want to say that it's the Turk Maverick show, but I think they have a lot more than just Turk.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of talent on this team. Brum James is a guy that really stands out for me. Yes, we talk about Turk Maverick, and he is an absolute beast. And you've seen what Louisville is without Turk Maverick since he transferred. So he is definitely a cog in the wheel for sure. He is the glue guy that makes it go. But as we talk about glue guys, we got Lefty Wright on this team who I know he played for your North Carolina State Wolfpack last year before he transferred to Oregon State. He is a guy that has continually impressed me as the season has gone on, and his play is just skyrocketed. He's a guy, and you said it when he was at NC State, and I had this conversation with Ted Stern about this the other night. You always said he was a glue guy. I think he got overlooked by a lot of colleges throughout the country here, and he's found his home at Oregon State and has been a huge factor for them down the stretch. Interesting thing here, just kind of a little stat, and I'm sure Zach would appreciate this. We now have a couple of conference tournament winners coming in as a number 2 seed. So I'm sure there's going to be some chips on some of these teams' shoulders heading into the tournament, that feeling that they should have been a number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon State won the Pac-12 regular season, lost in that conference tournament final. But you mentioned a guy like Lefty Wright. Last year we called him a glue guy. This year he's averaging like 15 points a game. So he's not. He's become a lot
higher this season, isn't it?
Yeah, way much higher. He's become more of a standout player for the Oregon State Beavers. So they're going to be a tough team in this bracket as well. They'll play the winner of the 3 and 4 matchup. The number 3 team in the Midwest is UNLV Runnin' Rebels. So the Runnin' Rebels get the number 3 seed in the West. We'll play the 4 seed. UNLV, a team that we thought could contend in the Pac-12, had a pretty good run behind Player of the Year candidate Julius LaFleur.
LaFleur has been an amazing presence ever since he's left Kentucky. The guy has just hit the weight room. He has shown me flashes of brilliance. I know there's some from time to time there's some frustration from Coach Legion, but he is a guy that can get it done, as we just seen him throw down on Soluzi there. What a great highlight that was. But he's a guy that runs the floor. He can defend. He can play down in the low post. And then you guys like Horace Grant and Cash
Yeah.
Max who contribute so much. Chris Cole, another guy that contributes. I mean, there's a lot of talent on this Run Rebels team. They're not a team that I want to face. This is another team that I think come conference time, conference tournament. Excuse me, not conference tournament. March Madness time can certainly make a run.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to see that matchup versus the number 4 seed in the Midwest. And the number 4 seed, the last team to get in this year, the number 4 seed in the West is the Clemson Tigers. So the Clemson Tigers sneak in as the number 4 seed in the West. They'll play the UNLV Running Rebels in the first round. Clemson is a team that early on, Wired, we saw that 2-guard look, Ty White, Monty Wyatt. Lately, though, we've been seeing a lot more of Lennox Rice and Moses King.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, I give Coach props to Coach Superwoman. She's done a phenomenal job with this Clemson team. The bigs have really stepped up in the recent weeks, and I really feel like they're finding their identity at the perfect time. So Monty White is the guy. Ty White is another superstar in the making. I think these two guards are phenomenal and certainly run the show, but the two big men at Clemson really, really have brought this team on the map in the last couple of weeks, and if they can continue to play this way down the tournament, they're going to be tough out as well.
Yeah, I mean, we said all season if Clemson got a force at center and power forward, they were going to be a really good team, and they got a good 1-2 punch in Moses King and Lennox Rice. Moses King, of course, was an all-conference player in the ACC, so UNLV is going to have their hands full. Another one of those 3-4 matchups we're going to enjoy seeing going into that. But we're going to take a look at the Midwest region real quick on our Zoom here, and then we're going to head over to Tech and Percy to analyze the Midwest for us. So Tech, Percy, take it away. Tech, who you got, man? Who you got in the Midwest? Who do you like?
Yeah, I love this bracket because I feel like this bracket is what sparks the love for March Madness. I truly feel like this is up for grabs for the 1, 2, or 3 seed. I mean, you talk about the player of the year, UNLV, Julius LaFleur. Let me tell you guys how many categories he's leading. He's on the leader board for. I mean, if you go to the website and look at CSBA leaders right now, he's on there for points, scoring 18 points a game. He's on there for blocks with 2.4 blocks a game. He's on there for rebounds for 12.6 a game. That is insane to be on 3 different categories. Julius LaFleur is my player to watch. As far as team to take it all, I'm gonna go Michigan. Michigan is tough. They have a very deep team, and I think they're putting it all together right now. So I have Michigan taking this bracket.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw when we released the the Pac-12 conference teams, Julius LaFleur got in as the first team. Turk Maverick was slid to second team, and Turk took exception to that. Turk's talent, man. He's one of a kind talent. Julius LaFleur has been better statistically than Turk this season. But they're 1 and 2. But I mean, I wouldn't want to play either of those two guys, right?
Right. Definitely not want to play 1, 2, or 3 in this. If you're Clemson or USC, you're scared to play anybody in this bracket, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lennox Rice is going to have his hands full with LaFleur in that first round matchup. Percy, give me your analysis on the Midwest. Who you like to win this thing, and give me a player to watch.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Michigan to win the bracket. I mean, I think they're too tough of a team. But if I had to go to anybody else, I'd have to go with either UNLV or Oregon State. Turk Maverick at Oregon State and LaFleur at UNLV, man. Those are just 2 tough teams.
Yeah, I mean, if those two somehow end up playing each other, I mean, if UNLV wins that first round, we're going to get LaFleur, Turk Maverick round 2. So actually, it might be round 3, right? They played each other. They played each other in a conference tournament. I can't remember, but we're going to get them again. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch those two. But that's our Midwest, guys. We're going to come back to you in a little bit here to get your final 4 picks and maybe player of the tournament to watch. But we'll head back to HQ real quick and chat with Mr. Wired a little bit more. Whoa, messed that up. Wired, Michigan, winner in this bracket. I mean, Oregon State's a tough team. UNLV's tough as well.
This bracket is by far the bracket to watch if you're not a team in this division, in this bracket at all. You're going to want to tune in for these games. I got to be honest with you. This is probably, in my opinion, the toughest bracket. And the reason I say that is there's so many different unique looks and so many team builds that are totally different. Oregon State, the way they are, head and toe, they could have been a number one. USC coming at Michigan with some bigs. How does Michigan respond to that? UNLV, Clemson, UNLV has a lot of weapons. Julius LaFleur right there in contention, in my opinion, for potentially player of the year. I mean, he's just been phenomenal for them. With Cash Packs at his side, I think that there's some talent, and Horace Lynch. I don't keep forgetting about Ho Lynch, but can't forget about him. He can play inside, outside, and then Clemson, figuring it out late in the season. This bracket is one of the tougher ones in my opinion. I could see Michigan easily coming out of this, on top because they do have so many weapons from top to bottom. But there's so many good teams in this bracket. I think this is the toughest bracket of all of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch. And like Tech said, I think this is we watch March Madness. Everybody's seen March Madness. This is the one, bracket kind of region that really screams March Madness to me. It's going to be a lot of fun, top to bottom. But I mean, this whole tournament's going to be fun, top to bottom. Like I said, there's no slouches in this tournament. 20 out of 24 teams made it, and I think that there's going to be upsets like we saw in the conference tournament. But I mean, the Magic's going to come alive here in March Madness, so we're definitely going to see that as we take a look at the full bracket real quick. We're going to do a segment real quick. We're going to do our players to watch. Me and Wire are going to do our players to watch and our under the radar players, and then we're going to end this with our analysts' final four picks and maybe player of the tournament picks. So back to Wired. Wired, give me your players to watch. I'll throw them up on the screen in case you forgot here. But
I did forget, so thank you. But I know I have comments around them, so we'll just if you throw the graphic up, that'd be great.
Wired's players to watch. Take it away.
Give me a sec, wait for the graphic. Yeah, so I definitely think if you look at these top five, these five players that I picked as my players to watch, I think Gina Da Vinci has been lights out all season for Syracuse. I think he's going to continue that magic through the postseason here. Even though 11 points per game, I don't think does him justice in the kind of ability that he can bring to the court and to Syracuse. I think he's a player that elevates his team. Sawyer Stern has been a bugaboo for Gonzaga all season, and you mentioned it earlier. He is either lightning red hot or he is super cold. I think he's the kind of guy, though, that can certainly put Gonzaga on his back. I mean, he had 17.4 points per game this season. Stellar numbers for him. I think he's a player that I know I'm excited to watch. I mentioned Gonzaga as a team that I felt earlier on they might surprise some people in this tournament. So Stern is one of those guys. I think if he can get hot, watch out for Gonzaga. Shane Page is a guy that makes Michigan go. He gets up and down the court with the best of them. The guy has got a great shot, great release. He's a guy that I think can propel Michigan to a Final Four easily. He's a player that is dynamic in a lot of ways, both driving to the basket as well from the outside. So I think he gives Michigan, a real shot at a Final Four attempt. Prince Chamberlain is a guy for me. I think this season, his sophomore season, he's lacked a little bit in the scoring side of things, but he's been more of that defensive player that Kentucky covets so much. But towards the latter part of the season, he really started to step up his game, especially postseason, as Kentucky kind of switched up a little bit of the direction they're going offensively, try to focus around Mike Coco more. So Prince I think if Prince can get going, I think that will also just help Kentucky's chances to try to get back to that championship game like they were in last season. And then Char Duncan, the guy's been playing with a chip on his shoulders. He's a double-double machine, 13.4 points per game, 10 rebounds per game on the season. He's just showed me so much. He's impressed me game in and game out, and he just continues to elevate his game, making Kansas a really, really tough out for anybody. I think Kansas is a team that's going to probably could potentially get back to their to the championship game, and I think it's going to be a lot of that's going to be credited to Char Duncan. So
yeah, if you weren't around in season one, Kansas won the national championship game, so looking to get back and defend their title, albeit new coach and
the funny part about it is that last season the team is completely different.
Oh yeah, head to toe,
So this is a
coach and all
complete-
players.
Coach and all players. This is a 100% different team, and we're already sitting here having a conversation about potential for a repeat. So congrats to Tech for a great job recruiting at Kansas.
Yes, testament to him for sure. I want to address a couple questions in chat real quick. Libertines asked anybody who missed Florida, Purdue, Tennessee, and Louisville were the 4 teams that missed. Thank you. And another question in here was I just saw it. Someone asked about free packs. If we had 60 viewers, somebody grab a screenshot of the.
I saw 55. We were close.
I
haven't
screw
seen
it.
60.
Someone grab a screenshot of the participants in there, and I'll give some free packs away. 55 is pretty amazing. So.
Yep. Yeah. Someone grab it now. Send it to Nighthawk or myself.
Yeah. Someone send a screenshot of all the participants in the chat and send it to one of us or both of us.
And we'll run the wheel of Shane after.
Yeah, we'll run the wheel of Shane tonight or whatever. So that's Wired's players to watch. We're going to head on to mine real quick. Wired's actually, we'll go to my players to watch, and then we'll come to your under the radar. My players to watch, when I did this, I wanted to spread the love, so every team has a player in these segments. So my players to watch, Adrian King, point guard from Duke, sophomore, 25.1 points per game, leading scorer in the country, 3.4 assists per game as well. So he doesn't just score the basketball, he's a top 10 assister as well. So if he can get going, Duke's going to be a team to, definitely look out for in March Madness. My second player is Michael Copley from Wisconsin. He's a freshman. We haven't talked about Copley too much since really early in the season when he dropped like that 35-point game or something. So Copley is a guy that if he can get going for Wisconsin, the Badgers, they got the tough draw. They got to play Oklahoma State in round 1, but they're going to desperately need Michael Copley in that game if they want to have any sort of shot to win that for sure. My third player, up to no good, forward, UCLA. We talked about up to no good. Zach talked about him, I think, in his analysis. So, or somebody did in their analysis. He's a sophomore, averaging 15.8 points per game, 3 assists per game. From the forward position, averages a couple blocks a game too and a steal. This guy is a jack of all trades. One of the most well-rounded players we have in our league. So UCLA is definitely going to need him in their first-round matchup against Florida State. Then we got Devin Davis, sophomore forward from Oregon. Was part of that Kansas team last year that won the national title. Transferred to Oregon in the offseason. 8 points per game, 8 rebounds per game. That number probably should be a lot higher. He had a couple duds of games within the season, but averaged nearly a double-double most games. Devin Davis was a guy that was pretty upset that he didn't get all conference. Probably had a gripe that conference was just really good at the forward position. But he's definitely going to have to play with a chip on his shoulder in the March Madness to propel Oregon as number 2 seed there. And then my final player to watch, Alex Sedakis, Texas center, sophomore, 10.5 points per game, 9.9 rebounds per game. So virtually a double-double per game for the Longhorns. Longhorns have a lot of weapons. Zeke Ali, Baker Mason, Tyler Johnson. Alex Sedakis is a guy that if he's playing well, the Longhorns are going to do well in this tournament. So those are my players to watch. And we're going to head over to Wired's Under the Radar. Nope. Wired's Under the Radar players. These are 5 players that maybe don't get talked about a ton. Wired likes 5 of them. Who do you like?
Yeah, I think Cash Pax towards the part of the end of the season has been really stepping up for UNLV. He really impresses me. I think he could be the Robin to Julius LaFleur's Batman. He's a guy that's really stepped up in recent weeks, and like I said, I think I could see him being a guy that, if he starts to step up his game in this March Madness tournament, certainly a guy that can help propel UNLV to make a nice run. Sean Moore, we talked about him earlier, 13.4 points per game, 53% from three-point range. The guy doesn't get a lot of attention over at Ohio State. I think you people are going to want to start paying attention to him because he's a guy on the rise. Brum James, a guy for Oregon State, has impressed me the entire season. I know 9 points per game doesn't seem like a lot, but Zach in the test, we talked about him a lot towards the end of the season. And there were 1 or 2 games where he was lights out. Similar, reminds me of a lot of Rob Davis, where he can shoot the 3, he can drive to the rim. I think he could definitely propel Oregon State to make a nice run as well. Certainly can chip in. So he's a little bit of an under-radar guy for me, but you may want to start to pay attention to him a little bit more. DJ Jones, he's a player that I think all season has been a bright spot for Michigan State. I know the 9.7 points per game doesn't necessarily jump out at you, but if Michigan State is running the ball in transition, DJ Jones gets out in transition better than most players within the league. He's a guy that if you are a running team, he certainly can help you both attacking the rim, and he's great from beyond the arc. He really impresses me. And then you got Greg Davidson. And I know this is Zach's guy, but I really seen him at Florida State really put FSU on his back and really look to propel them. I mean, the guy almost shot 58% from three. If FSU starts to utilize them a little bit more, they can make deep runs. So these are guys that have been contributing all season that maybe people that haven't noticed, or if they have, kudos to you. But these are guys that have impressed me. They are under the radar guys that I think if they're able to take that next step, they can certainly help their teams propel and make a deep run.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned a guy like Greg Davidson, who's becoming more refined every week. He shows us something new every week. So definitely a guy that Florida State needs. It's worth noting in that game that they got upset, he was in foul trouble a majority of that game. So Greg Davidson on the floor is obviously better than him not on the floor. Florida State's a good team. Greg Davidson's going to look to lead them. My under the radar players, again, 5 guys that maybe don't get talked about a ton. Ethan Martin, Oklahoma State, freshman guard, 10.2 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, second in the league, I think, to Dan Gleesack, I think, in assists. Gleesack could have made this list as well, but again, I wanted to give a chance for everybody to have, every team to have somebody on here. Ethan Martin, a guy that, I wouldn't call second fiddle on Oklahoma State, but definitely not one of their big 3 guys, but definitely a guy that can hurt you in many ways for the Cowboys. Second guy, Gary Quinn, guard, North Carolina, sophomore guard for the Tar Heels, 12 points per game, 52% from 3. Coming off the bench right now for the Tar Heels, can really shoot the rock from anywhere on the court. Gary Quinn's a guy that's really going to help that North Carolina bench, in a tough first-round matchup against Kansas. Third guy, Dexter Jackson, forward from USC, sophomore forward, 7.4 points per game, 50% from three-point range. I think there was a game this year we saw Dex hit like 5 or 6 threes, so definitely
That's when he came off the bench, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, he came off the bench and hit about 5 or 6 threes, so definitely a guy that can get hot for USC quickly. And USC is going to need it, again, number 5 seed coming into it. Got a really tough first-round matchup. Fourth guy, Moses King.
By the way, before you go to Moses King, does just real quick because I'm going to chime in here. Does USC put Dexter Jackson back to the bench?
I mean, I like their lineup. I like their lineup with him on the bench, but
he was coming off the bench. He wasn't off the bench in the latter part of the season. He got back into the starting lineup, so I'm curious to see how USC utilizes him. Just wanted to throw that in there because it was really.
It's worth mentioning his arc is a 3-and-D wing, so who's Michigan have at small forward? That's Shane Page. So maybe they got to start him, to provide that defense against Page. It's a tough matchup no matter what for USC. Dexter Jackson's going to be a guy that carries them for sure. Moses King, my fourth guy, forward from Clemson, again was an all-conference selection as a freshman, 9.7 points per game, 4.7 rebounds per game. Really gave a lift to Clemson after he came in, him and Lennox Rice. So Moses King going to have to be really good because he's playing power forward and Horace Lynch plays power forward for UNLV. So tough matchup for Moses King in the first round. We'll see if he can get it done. And my last guy, Matthew Ousley, or Ousley, whoever's calling the game. Indiana center, freshman, 8.4 points per game, 8.8 rebounds per game. This is a guy that's averaging, if you looked at his stats and said, really? He's averaging 9 rebounds a game and almost 9 points a game? You wouldn't probably think of this guy. So definitely a guy that can hurt you in many ways if you're Indiana, and Indiana's definitely going to need it in their first round matchup. So those are my under the... Go ahead. Yep.
I was say, if I'm being truthful, I didn't even know those stats. And I've called a lot of games this season. So.
When I filled this out, when I was researching my under the radar players, I was like, really? He's, wow.
That's almost a double machine right there. So
yeah. So
kudos to him. Indiana can use that for sure.
They could definitely use it. Let's take a look one more time at our full bracket, and then we're going to go to our analysts and give us our their final 4 picks and their player of the tournament. This is going to go on loop. I'll just let their voices come over. Zach, give me your final 4 from each region here. I'll keep the bracket up so you can maybe see a little bit. But tell me your final 4.
Yeah, I mean, no bias. again, it's tough to not pick my own team, but I mean, you gotta be unbiased here. I think from the South region, I think Oklahoma State's just too powerful, so I think they win that region. I do think it'll be a great game, whether it's Michigan State or Oregon who they face, but I do think they're gonna advance. As far as the East, I mean, that's just a toss-up. I have Syracuse and Texas in the final for that one. I'll lean towards Syracuse just because they have a good body of work. When you have Frankie J, Gino Da Vinci, we haven't even mentioned Dick Dickey and Frankie J. I mean, they've got that center, their backup center. I don't even know his name, but he's leading the league in blocks. I don't
Oh,
know
Mike Oxlong.
Yes.
Be very careful how I
guy.
say that. This is a family show.
Yes. No need to go any more into that one. But
By the way, can I just tell you that's the first time this entire season I just got that.
Oh my gosh, I got it when you created him. I was like, this is bad.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I just realized that too.
I just realized it.
A+ name. Continue, Zach. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't want to say the name. From the Midwest, I mean, this one's again another powerful lineup. I think Michigan's gonna win their side, and then Oregon State, UNLV. I think UNLV is gonna pull it together, and I think they're gonna be my shocker. I think UNLV is gonna beat Michigan and take the Midwest. I know Shane Page isn't gonna be excited about that. You've got a great team, man. But I think UNLV has enough firepower to take that. And then as far as the last one, I think you took it off the screen. I think we'll give that to
There you
Kansas
go.
as well. It's going to be Kansas and Kentucky, but I mean, I think Wire, Tech, they all said that whole bracket, Ohio State slept on since Moore came in. Gonzaga's going to give Kentucky some troubles. But I just think Kansas' body of work, and I've got insiders saying they've been hitting the gym lately, so I'm sure they'll be prepared a little more. So that certainly helps.
Give me a player of the tournament. One player. I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me one player who you think is going to be the best player in this tournament. There's a lot of them, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
I'm not going to pick Oklahoma State because they have like 27 of them. But I'm going to pick Frankie J from Syracuse. Give a little ACC love.
All right, Frankie J.
They're coming to the pressure of C-Web being in this.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to head...
Not at all. No.
I'm just kidding.
We're going to head over to C-Web, and C-Web, give us your Final Four pick and player of the tournament. You're muted if you're... Oh, he's gone. We'll go to Percy. Percy, go ahead and give me your Final Four pick and player of the tournament.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna go with. Of course I like Oklahoma State. I think they're just an overall great team, and I think they'll eventually make it to the Final Four. I'm gonna go with. I can barely see that bracket.
What region are you in?
Looking all over.
We'll go to the East. Syracuse, Indiana, Texas, UCLA, Florida State in the East.
So I'll definitely go with Syracuse in that one. I think, like we all said, I think they could have been the number one overall seed, and I think they're just too strong of a team. They got, just like Oklahoma State, they got any number of players that can take over at any time. Then I'll go with Kansas and their region. I got to be biased with that one. But I also think that they're really a good team. And then I'll go with who in the West?
Midwest, Michigan, USC, Oregon State, UNLV, or Clemson.
Oh, I'll go with. I actually agree with the shirt about UNLV. I think they're a sleeper team, and I think that they can come. I definitely think that they'll win that bracket.
Wow. Okay, so two teams picking UNLV out of the Midwest. Shane Page, there's some bulletin board material for you. We're going to go to C-Web now, who's back with us. C-Web, give me your Final Four pick and player of the tournament. You're muted if you're trying to talk. There you go.
Yeah, so my Final Four picks, I got to say Oklahoma State's going to pretty much come out of that bracket. I don't really see them having Oregon, I think.
Yep, he's gone.
He'll be back in just a second. There he is. He's back with us. Keep going to C-Web.
You guys got me?
Yep, we're here.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going, C-Web.
All right, thanks. Sorry, I lost audio
You're
on
good,
my
you're good.
headset.
Yep, just keep going.
Yeah, so that's what I think there. Like I said, I think Kentucky's going to probably come out of their bracket. The Midwest, I actually think Michigan's going to come out.
Mhm.
I think Michigan's going to survive. They're probably going to face Oregon State in the semis there, but I got them winning theirs, and I can't really go against myself in the East, but Texas is going to give us a good fight. But that's my Final Four: Oklahoma State, Cuse, Kentucky, and Michigan. And then my player to watch, I got to go with Kareem Biggums. I know it's an obvious choice, but he's been an absolute monster for them. And he's really, without them, I don't think Oklahoma State is the team that they are. So he's really my player to watch. I'll give you one under the radar guy that nobody's mentioned yet, though, is Jojo Soluzi from UNLV has been really hot the last 2 games of the year, and I think he's somebody to watch out for.
Yeah, another point guard for UNLV. Him and Cash Packs definitely provide a good 1-2 punch there. We'll head over to Tech. Tech, give me your final 4 picks. Give me your player to watch in the tournament.
Yeah, I agree with the other 3 analysts. OK State in the South comes out. Oregon will give them a little game, but I think OK State's going to be too powerful for anybody in that region. I do think OK State will struggle with whoever they see in the Final Four, but that's another conversation. In the East, I'm going to actually give it to Texas. I think that they've really put it together late in the season and in the conference tournament. They had a very good game against OK State. I think they give Syracuse a run for their money and possibly come out on top of that bracket. In the West, I do think it's between my Kansas and Kentucky. I'm going to be a little biased and go with Kansas just because I think we're going to be better prepared for them this game. And so I think we'll edge them out late in the fourth quarter. But Midwest, I'm going to go with Michigan. I think Oregon State and UNLV are going to have a great game against each other, but I think it's going to really is going to take a toll on the team, and Michigan will be there in the championship game ready for them. So,
yeah, player to watch, man. Who do you think is going to make the impact in this tournament? Maybe come away with most outstanding player at the end.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Zeke Ali. He was an all-conference player for the Big 12. That says a lot if you're on that first team. He's been really lighting it up late in the season, so I think he's going to be my player to watch as this bracket goes on.
Who do you think is going to win this whole thing, man? I'm going to go to you 3 again, and then I'm coming to Wire for his picks. Who do you think is going to win this whole thing? Yeah, who's going to win the whole thing?
Don't take Kansas.
If not Kansas, OK State. They're really dominating. I mean, I know Kentucky beat them, just barely edged them out. But if you just look at their whole resume over the entire season, they are a tough team to match up with. They just do everything well, and they just, they play well on both sides of the ball. So I mean, when you put that together, it's hard to beat.
Yeah. Percy, who's going to win it, man? You there? You muted?
Maybe his one headset.
He's there. Who's going to take the whole thing, man?
Yeah, so if not OK State, which is the obvious favorite.
Are they, though?
I can...
Is it that obvious? I mean, they did just lose. They did get taken to overtime and then lost. So... I don't know how obvious it is.
No, you know what? If we're being honest, I actually agree with my brother that they might have trouble in the Final Four, no matter who they face. But that's for another story, like you said. So if not Oklahoma State, I actually like whoever comes out of the Kansas Kentucky bracket. Those are two really strong teams, and either one of those could take it.
C Webb, who's going to win the whole thing?
I mean, my obvious answer is Syracuse,
obviously,
right?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
No, it's hard to go against Oklahoma State and Kentucky the way that they played in that final game. But if I'm gonna pick somebody else, I really do like Michigan. I know not a lot of guys pick them to come out of that bracket, but I like the way that Shane Page has been coaching them. And I just think that if they can get into the Final Four, they're going to surprise a lot of teams. It's certainly not somebody I would want to face in the championship game.
Yeah, well, there's a chance you face them in the Final Four. Michigan has slaughtered teams so far. It hasn't even been close. If you look at their games in the Big Ten tournament, they slaughtered teams that they play. So Michigan is a very, very, very good basketball team. We'll see how far they can go for sure. Zach, last one before I go to Wired. Who's going to take it?
I think Kansas goes back to back, man. I think Tech has shown he scouts players well. I mean, he did lose to Kentucky, but I think, like he stated, he'll be ready for that team. I think it's going to be tough. I mean, Oklahoma State or whoever wins Oklahoma State in the East region is going to be nuts. But I do think Kansas goes back to back.
Zach, who's your Cinderella pick? I'll just get yours real quick. Who's your Cinderella pick in this thing? We always love Cinderellas in March Madness.
If I'm not picking my Florida State Seminoles because we've played UCLA twice already, I'd have to go Gonzaga. I think they give Kentucky a run for the money there. They're definitely taking Ohio State, in my opinion, but I would go Gonzaga.
Well, head back to HQ. Thank you to our analysts. You guys have been great this show. Appreciate you guys all being on. It's been really fun. Look forward to doing more Hawk Talks and March Madness shows and whatnot with you guys. But we're going to go to Wired now. Wired, give me your Final Four pick. Give me your player to watch. Give me your winner, and give me a Cinderella, man.
All right, so I'll go through the brackets real quick. South, I see Oklahoma State. I agree with the guys. I just don't think I think they have the easiest bracket of them, and they should because they were the number one overall. I mean, it's a given. I mean, I think Oregon might give them a little bit of a trouble in that Elite Eight game, but I see Oklahoma State advancing. Out of the West, Kentucky and Kansas are probably my two favorites there. I don't want to speculate. I mean,
that's a coin flip, man. It's a coin flip.
I mean, Kentucky's my team. Obviously, I'm going to hope that we win that game, but Kansas gave us fits all season. We lost them by, I think, 10 or 12 in one game, and we beat them in another game. So it's really going to be tossed up between those two teams, in my honest opinion. I don't want to say one or the other just to not show favoritism. Just trying to be objective here. I do think Kansas might have a little bit of an upper edge there because Tech is a really good coach and he's schemed well all season. And Char Duncan has got a chip on his shoulder like I've never seen before. Coming out of the East, I'm going to go with Tech. Me and Tech's mindset are very similar in this one. I think Texas comes out of the East. I mean, no offense to Syracuse. Syracuse has played great, but they really haven't played. The ACC has not been as strong, and the Big 12, as you and I know, has been the best conference in CSBA. So I see Texas coming out of the East. I think the Horns is completely figured out how to utilize this team, and that was evident in that OK State semifinal game. And then coming out of the Midwest, I'm actually going to go again away from the number one seed here. I see Oregon State coming out of this conference. I think UNLV is going to give Oregon State some fits in that second round, but I do see Oregon State moving on past UNLV, and then I see them actually beating Michigan. I think Turk Maverick is just such a beast, and there's not many guys in this league who can really face up and dominate the way Turk does. And then some of the players, Brum James and Lefty Wright, are guys that I've just seen have really stepped up their game in recent weeks. I see Oregon State actually taking down Michigan, and I know that's a surprise. Michigan is a strong team. I just think Oregon State, I think Turk Maverick is going to bring his dominance, and he has a very similar style game to Kareem Bigham's. They're probably the number 1 and 2 centers in this league.
Maybe Julius LaFleur as well.
Yeah, Julius LaFleur is definitely Julius LaFleur is a guy. That's why I said that Oregon State UNLV game, in my opinion, is going to be one for the ages. I think I bet you that game goes to overtime. It's just going to be that close. It's just going to be an amazing game. No offense to Clemson. I think UNLV is a little tough, but Clemson does have some bigs, so maybe they give UNLV a little bit of a trouble there. But I do see Oregon State advancing here to make the Final Four. As far as sleeper teams, I think UNLV, Gonzaga, Oregon, and UCLA are probably my 4 sleeper teams out of each bracket. I think those guys can make some noise. I think there's a possibility to see them surprise some people. Definitely teams that are on the rise for sure in the CSBA. As far as player to watch, again, I'm on the same page as Tech on this one. I think Zeke Ali is a guy that has really shown me a lot. He put up 30 points, I believe, in that Oklahoma State game.
31,
31. He was just lights out in that game. I've not seen such a dominant performance all season beyond Kareem Biggums or Trey Upton. So Zeke Ali, to me, is a guy that I think is going to propel his team to the Final Four.
And who's going to win the whole thing?
Put me on a spot here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas there. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, Texas took Oklahoma State to overtime. Probably should have won that game. Was up 15 late, and you got
they have the guns there. They have the players. Alex Sedakis, can hold his own. Zeke, we mentioned Zeke Ali. I mean, Baker Mason, who if we see the Baker Mason that we saw in that game, look out. I mean, and all he has to do is knock down a few more shots, and that game doesn't even go to overtime.
Yeah, for sure.
So I see Texas, and I just see Texas. I don't know why. It's
a hunch, huh?
Man. Just a hunch. I don't know. It's March Madness. Listen, this is why we play the games. You don't expect, you listen. Sometimes we always talk about the cream rising to the top, but there are some teams here that just have taken a little time during the season to figure it out. And if they can continue that momentum that they had in those conference tournament games, look out.
Yeah, I'll give you mine real quick. In the South, I see Oklahoma State. I think Oregon's going to put up a little better fight than a lot of people think. We can't forget that Scooby Lewis, Devin Davis, Dan Gleasack. That's a very, very solid team. Steve Cobb. They're very deep and they're very good. So I see them putting up a little bit of a fight against Oklahoma State. I still see the Cowboys coming out, but I wouldn't be surprised if that game was closer than a lot of people thought. Kansas, Kentucky in the West. Again, that's just going to be a dogfight. And I don't even want to pick that game. I mean, that's honestly a coin flip for me. That's going to be maybe the biggest dogfight that we see. So, I mean, I agree with. I think that Kansas is going to prepare a little better in this time. So maybe I'll give them an edge in overtime. But I wouldn't be surprised if either team won that. To be honest, in the Midwest, I think Michigan. I disagree going away from Michigan. I played in the Big Ten. I've seen this team play probably more than most teams. Most guys have seen them play. They
haven't played a guy like Turk Maverick though.
But I mean, you look at their games in non-conference. They have played really. They have played the Big 12 tough. So Michigan, and they're deeper than they were in non-conference. So this is a different Michigan than we saw at the beginning of the season. The addition of Valley Dio, Macy Pretzel's got a hell of a lot better. Thrickson's got better. Willis McGee's got better.
Yeah, they've got a lot of.
So they're the most improved team from the beginning to the end, maybe besides Florida State. So Michigan, I see coming out in the Midwest. The East is tough as well. Listen, Texas is a good basketball team. Syracuse can light teams up. Syracuse can shoot the hell out of the ball. So if you're going to get in a track meet with Syracuse, give me the Orange to win that region. Texas is going to have to be very careful in that matchup if they both reach that game. So UCLA is a sleeper team for me as well. I think you guys all said that pretty well. But that's all going to accumulate the Final Four this year. Phoenix, Arizona, guys. Phoenix, Arizona is the Final Four location this year. Let's see if I can pull up the graphic here. Phoenix, Arizona is our Final Four this year. We won't tease you with the court. The court is amazing. Wire did a really good job on it. We will show you that at a later date, but that is the Final Four logo for this year. Phoenix, Season 2 CSBA. Guys, this is going to be a lot of fun. This starts tomorrow, guys. We got the 3-4 matchups tomorrow and Tuesday. If you guys look at the schedule, both of those games we're running 2 a day, pretty much for the next 3 weeks. But
put the brackets up so that we don't have to stare at Zach and see what.
I like Saren. Okay, anyway. So the 3-4 matchups will be tomorrow and Tuesday. I will make sure that I get the matchups up tonight, right after this. And then Wednesday we're going to we got 2 more games on Wednesday. Then we're going to take a break for Christmas. We're going to come back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday the next week. We do 2 more games. We're going to take a break for the New Year, and then we're going to come back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday the following week with our national title game on that Thursday. So it's going to be a really fun 3 weeks. We wanted to extend it to 3 weeks to give you guys time with your families and whatnot during the holidays. But I'm excited for this thing to start. Here's the bracket again. It's all going to come down to Phoenix is the Final Four. Wired, any parting words?
Listen, I know we all gave our input. We all think who we think, and some of it was some of the feedback. It's hard to go against your team because you're a coach or a player for that team. But at the end of the day, we're just giving our opinions. By no means is that a slight on any team that we have not mentioned here that we think may or may not go forward. I think that's just our analysis based on having seen some of the games and some of the teams during the season. But I will say we appreciate everybody. This has been an amazing season. This is only going to kick into high gear now. The one thing that I will say that for the 4 teams that didn't make it, there are teams. There's a lot of talent on those 4 teams, so don't look at this as a negative that you didn't make it. I think it's just at some point we have to cut the line somewhere along the way, and if we had our druthers, everybody would make it. But I think this is the most fair. The committee did a really good job. Kudos to everybody in the committee for putting this together. This was not an easy bracket. There was some debates back and forth on a couple number 1 seeds on who should play who, how. Forget about all that. Just how the format should work. I know we bounced around back and forth on who should play who and like how are we going to set it up with 20 teams as opposed to 16 teams, because last season we had 5 with the number 1 seeds getting buys. Like this season is different. Nobody's getting a bye. We just don't know who the 2 seed is going to face, but it's similar to like the true NCAA where there's that 8-9 game for the 4. So I mean there's a lot of thought that went into this. Matchups were not easy by any means. We really tried to stay away from conference teams playing each other. Yep. Mm-hmm. So and keep in mind too, like we're giving our predictions on these games, but that doesn't mean anything. These teams really haven't played each other, and they certainly haven't played each other at the height of where they are now, based on where their teams have packed up and their coaching adjustments that they've made. Whether it's a late season recruit that really finally has turned a team around late in the season that we really didn't see a lot of. So like, listen, this is why we play the games. This is the reason why we run the sims and see who comes out on top. There's no guarantees. Listen, everybody said Oklahoma State was going to run the entire season and they lost. I mean, this is the reason why we run the sims. This is the reason why March Madness is going to be so exciting. There's some really, I mean, if you look across the board at this bracket, there's no easy game. No. There's not one easy game in this entire bracket. I don't care what anybody says. Even those 1-5 games are not going to be easy. Don't be surprised if that 5 seed is still there hanging around.
We saw teams like Louisville and Purdue win in the conference tournament. So, I mean, like you said, I think it's going to be a fantastic tournament. We're going to do this right now. Tomorrow, just so we can hear in the chat, we're going to go back to the bracket. Tomorrow, we're going to have Ohio State and Gonzaga at 8 o'clock Eastern, followed by Duke and Michigan State at 9:30 Eastern. And on Tuesday at 8 Eastern, we'll have UCLA and Florida State, followed by UNLV and Clemson at 9:30. Those 2 games are going to be really good, no matter what. So
I believe that's our games just for this week, correct?
That Wednesday we have one. We have 2 more on Wednesday apart. I think we do. But I'll get the whole schedule out for sure.
Yeah, let's talk through that because I thought we said we weren't going to do the second rounds.
I'll check the schedule, but those are the 2 games or the 4 games that we're going to have for Monday and Tuesday, just so you guys have them. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Kind words. The show was very hard to produce, but we're glad that we can give you guys such a good product. And thank you for damn near 60 viewers tuning in. That's awesome.
I do have one more thing I want to say.
That is all. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to tell everybody in this league a big reason why this league continues to push forward, and I know that I've done a lot, but kudos to my man Nighthawk here. He is I don't even want to say he's my Robin to my Batman. He is a phenomenal guy, a stand-up guy, and I appreciate him more than most people here realize. He does a lot of things for this league that you guys do not even know or get to see on the daily. I know for a lot of you, he's your go-to guy to have conversations, but just remember this, and I please want everybody to know this as well. My door is always open to talk about anything. If anybody ever has any concerns, comments, questions, whatever, you can always come to me. If you don't feel comfortable talking to me, you can always talk to Tyler here. But I just want to say a big thank you to you, Tyler. Without you, I don't think we've gotten it this far. So
appreciate it, buddy.
You. And I wanted everybody in the league to hear that because you mean the world to me, and we've become really good friends over these last several months. And I think a lot of that has to do with all the
the time spent away from your family doing all this stuff and working with me to try to push the CSBA even further. And the funny part is we have even better things to come for season 3. So
yeah.
if you guys think this was good, and kudos to Nighthawk, who's, like I said, he did this entire postseason, this whole March Madness selection show, 50 hours this week. I mean, I can't thank him enough for that, and I think you guys should realize that as well.
Appreciate the kind words. I mean, that just goes out to everybody that's helps with this league. Obviously, Percy, Zach, C-Web, Tech, and
thank you for saying that. I don't want to take anything away from those guys.
Right.
There's been so many guys, and they know how I feel, and I've expressed how I felt to them one-on-one, but they have done it in the public's eye and the CSBA's eye. We couldn't do it with all your help.
There's so many guys, man, that help on a daily basis, that, stats guys and, game previews and guys that do Hawk Talk with us and call games. Tech's been incredible this year, broadcasting for us. So, I mean,
if you thought season 2 was good, wait till you see season 3.
We got something up our sleeves we haven't even revealed yet that only Wired and I know about. So, we'll tease that. Well, we won't tease that just yet. Let's focus on March Madness. But thanks again to everybody. Thanks to our analysts who stayed with us through the technical difficulties there, and everybody in chat who stayed with us. I hope it was worth the wait. But yeah, game start tomorrow, guys. March Madness has begun. Ball tips off at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night with the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Gonzaga Bulldogs, followed by Duke and Michigan State at 9:30. Guys, thank you again. Next time, we'll see you guys later.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.